just, I like this. It's not wrinkled yet.
Well, host.
Yep, this is basically a panel for
Why are we here?
Building an audience, and whatever else people want to talk about, but mostly that.
I refer my time to Travis.
It's day 2 and you've already given up, Greg?
Yep.
It was day 1 last night and he already gave up.
See, I came in, I was super excited. I was going to like try to lift an eyebrow and go, finally, Travis has come to SeerNova Con. Like I was super excited because I missed yesterday and nothing.
You missed the best panel, and that was the Kyron Silva panel.
What did he do?
He didn't show up, so I took over. And then basically I told everybody, hey, why don't you just give me money out of spite so I can message him and tell him all the fucking money I made because he didn't show up, which it turns out was $70.
Nice.
You're welcome for part of that.
Thank you, Omi. What's up, Trish? Hey.
How you doing?
Yeah, so
let me share this.
Pretty sure everybody knows who everybody is, but yeah, let's introduce ourselves. Travis can go first.
We gotta sit through this crap again. Go ahead, Travis.
Hi, my name is Travis Gibb, and I'm an alcoholic. It is 2 days since my last confession. And I'm
Travis.
Wait.
Oh, this isn't how it works.
This is the wrong meeting. I'm Travis Gibb. I do comics. I create, Broke Down. I create Voodoo Nations. I create Parallels. Used to create The Advocator. That's not a thing anymore. Created a big thing called Cthulhu Invades Oz. I don't know. I create things. Comics. Some people buy them.
Used to be married to one lady, but now I'm married to someone else. Why don't we talk about all the things you don't do anymore?
All right, if you want to. That'll fill an hour, I'll tell you that.
See, we're having fun already. It's all right.
This is how you build an audience. Entertain, motherfuckers. Entertain.
All right, guys. I'm J.R. Harris, also known as Josh. I'm a comic book illustrator and freelance artist from Flint, Michigan. And I do a whole bunch of sci-fi, paranormal, mystery, whatever you want to call it. I do everything under the sun. Comic books.
Wait, hold on. I have more questions about water over there. Like, there's tons of water questions about Flint. Like, screw this. Let's figure out what's going on.
That's why
I think he's pretty tired of that.
I refrain from mentioning it because that's always the first one. Like, how's the water? It's like, it's great. Thanks.
Delicious.
It's wonderful.
In the bottle form.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it how many rich people have come and said, I'm going to fix this problem, and then left you and abandoned you.
Yes, that's happened a number of times. Yeah, they bring bottles of water, like 2 cases, and they're like, that's
Fixed
enough. Right? Band-Aid on a problem.
Oh, better.
You guys know how to boil water, right?
Yeah.
We give you fire. Hey, sorry, guys. What's up? I'm Chuck Pineau. Definitely not from Flint, Michigan, because I can gladly drink water. That was terrible. Holy shit. That was pretty bad. It was bad. No, okay.
Awkward.
I'm Chuck Pineau. I'm a freelance writer and editor for comics and soon-to-be novels. I'm a creator of such products as Welcome to the Void, Belial, which Belial 2 just finished up on Kickstarter, and Essence House, the audio drama turned novel, which is on Kickstarter now for only 49 more hours. And on to you, Aaron.
Hey guys, I'm Aaron. I co-own Cattle's Comics Studio, and Chuck and Travis don't work for me. Over to you, Matt.
I'm the other part of that, and same. Chuck and Travis
you don't work for Aaron?
No, Chuck.
No, he works with Aaron.
I work with Co.
Man, you'd think with our Kickstarter numbers, they'd want us to work for them. How rude.
We nailed it. We nailed it, Matt.
No, we nailed it.
Awesome.
That 25K would help a lot. Hey, Katrina.
Hey, Katrina here.
She doesn't work for us either.
You work.
You have to switch your name. It doesn't work for Catalyst.
My work's on there.
I do drink water.
Oh, that's good.
I'm drinking a Kit Kat drink called Night Rider. It's got a little cat on it.
Oh, it's cute.
Nice.
It's very cool looking.
So building an audience.
Yeah. Where do you start with something like that?
Work for Catalyst.
It's a big one.
First off, I would say.
See, they don't work for us, but they know about us, so we've already built an audience.
We've already
We're rent free right up here, man.
Yep.
Rent free.
Channel over.
Yep.
That's right.
Well, but you know what? That is true. Getting your name out there, like at least having people recognize that you have a brand. So having a brand, first off, is important because you need something that the audience can attach themselves to and understand. So I think just having a brand and some sort of recognition, something, whether it's a logo or an idea, a product, whatever, that is definitely the first start to eventually building some sort of audience.
Yeah, and not being afraid to go local, I think, is a big thing for me. I mean, obviously right now it's kind of rough, but kind of just a general rule of thumb is like your friends and family, if they are there and if they're interested in helping, I mean, it's a great start to go from there, and then their friends and their family and so on and so forth. And you having a brand and showing them that, you know, you already have an audience.
So what you're saying is you start at the top, and then if they get 2 friends, and they get 2 more friends.
Look, man.
That's my pyramid scheme.
No, it's not a pyramid scheme, man. So you don't want to sell them the water filter. You want to sell them the license to sell water filters. So then you get a cut of every license they sell and the water filters that they sell.
And it is not a pyramid, it's half a diamond. And diamonds are the strongest things on the planet. So it's fine.
And apparently diamonds are important in comics.
Oh, they are.
Oh, look at that. Bring it back.
Wow. Brand recognition.
So you have a podcast or something?
I just had a discussion with somebody the other day, and I asked him who his target audience was. So that's the first thing, is knowing your target audience.
Travis, you said you were going to keep this between us.
I didn't mention your name yet. We'll call him Baron Flowin.
Nora Newwood.
A-Rod.
Yes.
Know who you're targeting, because trying to find that after the fact is really hard. So this guy realized, once talking to me, he's like, so I think my audience is furries. And I was like, oh, do you want your audience to be furries? No, but it's that or stoners. So I was like, well, is that the kind of comic that you want to cater to? And he's like,
Aren't
no.
those the same?
I'm thinking, why not both? But why limit yourself?
Yeah.
The way where you're sitting and the color of the background, I know you're in your house, but it looks like a hotel wall, like you're leaning against a hotel at a conference.
Yeah, that thing like right above her kind of looks like the fire alarm in a hotel.
My house is looking way fancy tonight. Woohoo!
But finding your audience and then hitting that audience hard and joining that audience's community, right? So when we were doing Cthulhu Invades Oz, I was in all the Wizard of Oz communities. I'll
let Chuck answer that.
To kind of figure it out.
They
Not
do
books
tilt.
that Chuck and I do. I'll tell you that, Mike. I'll tell you that.
They do Tilt, and they do is Paradigm one of yours?
Yeah.
Paradigm, and they do Welcome to Everville. They're gonna do Bard's Tale, which I'm sitting around waiting for, very excited.
So are we, buddy. So are we.
They've got a bunch, and I don't mean that in any way. I really just am very excited. But they have a bunch of books. They're definitely worth checking out. They have a whole big world that they're willing to that they're kind of setting up and whatnot, especially with their superhero stuff. And that speaks to their brand. They very much have kind of figured out what they want to do and sort of who they're aiming at. And so even where their audience is concerned and stuff, they very much know that. And again, like Travis was talking about, that's something that's really important and something that you really kind of need to figure out for yourself.
That's an ambiguous post on right there. Thank you for the kind words, Chuck. But yes, a lot of people, they might know.
How dedicated are you, Chuck?
Yeah, exactly. What kind of stuff were you showing?
Besides the hot sauce that went up your nose.
Yeah, well, twice. I ended up having to do it a second time.
A second time? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because once was not enough.
They said I have one,
I have-
two nostrils.
I
That means
have two
times.
nostrils and
The second time was both nostrils, actually.
We just get other people to do it for us. Thanks for that, Greg.
Oh, yes, I did. That burned. I totally am not losing my voice because of this. It's just from the hot sauce. Like,
I do want to take a second, real quick, to say, Travis, even though we are always fighting for some reason, congratulations on that
Yeah,
Kickstarter,
man.
because that was definitely well done, sir.
Thank you.
That was a big goal. You nailed it.
So when are you getting your stomach ulcers looked at?
I mean, it came following a giant toothache, so I think I stressed myself out so much that it went into my jaw. So
too
That
much
was it.
the clenching of the jaw.
yeah, that's something we don't talk about, right? When you build your audience, do you really want it? Because it's really stressful.
There are expectations now.
Yeah, you've built your audience, but are they going to come through?
Right.
That's right.
That's the big question.
Well,
Like,
I think that's
maintaining
really
your
hard.
audience is a whole other other
Yeah.
topic.
yeah,
Just because you have 100 people that all like your stuff doesn't mean that you're gonna have 100 people that are gonna buy your stuff.
exactly.
Well, and there's a difference between building your audience and making something for that audience. Like,
That's true.
you don't, let's say you're going for furry stoners and then you build a fucking children's book, they're probably not going to buy it. So if you do build an audience,
If there's an animal in it,
I don't know about that.
there's an animal. in it.
Unfortunately,
I mean, stoners aren't particularly picky.
Just make the colors
some of
bright.
us are.
bro, it's so much easier to read, man. The colors are really bright.
Down to their level.
No,
I
mean,
like
what
that the
comes-
word bubbles are real big.
I mean, what Chuck is saying is really important, especially when you look at me, right? I'm known for
Okay,
crime.
everyone look at Travis.
I'm known
Make
for
it
voodoo.
make him big, Greg.
Thank you. When I have a big audience like a Kickstarter that's as big as it is, what kind of work can I do to capitalize on that audience, right? I can't assume they're going to come to Broke Down and Voodoo Nations. And statistically, we've seen that, especially Catalyst Comics, going back to them. They, they have different audiences. They have a horror, they have a superhero, and like figuring out where that audience is. There's certain people who come and back anything I do, but that's not necessarily. So, all right, do I want to cater to that audience? And if I do, what kind of books do I need to make, right? Do I struggle and focus on my crime? Do I make a crime Cthulhu book? What do I make to target and get that audience?
Cthulhu solves a crime.
And that's a really good point because, on Belial 2, we had 270 some odd backers, which was absolutely phenomenal. But then you look at Essence House, which might break 100 when it's all said and done. It's because they're two very different stories with two very different audiences, and they're also two different mediums. So you have to understand that. So sometimes it means growing that audience, building outside of it. There's certainly on the Venn diagram that is your total audience. There will be some overlap, and there will be some of those people in the middle, but not that much. So you need to sometimes, understand that, like with Travis, he needs to build on that crime family, like the crime book audience. And then when he moves on to do something like Voodoo Nations, it's like, okay, cool. That's a different thing. I need to lean into a different side of my audience and build that different side of my audience. And the idea is hopefully as you build those different audiences, the center of that Venn diagram becomes bigger and bigger. There becomes more and more people who just like what you do.
Right.
And that's something that we found even with our variant covers. Variant covers were huge for us on Belial 2. And what was great was that the different talent that we brought in also could help to bring their own audience. We had certain guys who just did a fantastic job because they were super excited to be part of the project, and you saw their audience come with them. So, you know, certainly adding other people to your projects and networking with other creators is huge. I had a client today, a good buddy of mine messaged me, and he's just like, hey, my artist has started working on a second on a variant cover for our comic. He's like, I don't know this stuff that well. Is it a good idea to have my own artist do our variant cover? And I was like, I mean, it looks nice enough, but yeah, I wouldn't suggest it. I don't think it's a great idea. Variant covers are definitely, you know, like you can, but you don't want two covers by the same guy. If you have a chance to bring in another artist and bring their audience to you and show yourself your stuff off to them, and also level up what you're doing. You know, I mean, being able to spend a little bit of money and maybe afford an artist that you normally couldn't spend to do interiors. Like, let's say their interiors are $100, $200 a page, and you're like, I can't do that. But it's worth dropping, say, $400 on a one-time purchase of a cover that could bring their people over there, and also show your audience that maybe you're playing in a bigger pond than they assume. So there's all sorts of different ways you can do it, and those are a couple.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I was going to mention that too, is networking and not being afraid to reach out to people, talk to people, and just be as best as you can a social person. You know, honestly, I am a very introverted person, but a few years ago I decided, hey, I got to step up my game and actually talk to people if I want to make it anywhere. And the moment I did that, you know, it was an upward slope of progress, and it's amazing how quickly that can help you.
No, I just like to sit in my room and draw.
That's what I want to do every day.
See, and then Aaron's like, "Hey, come do this podcast." I'm like,
that's right. If you're gonna be like Matt, get an Aaron. That's really what it is.
That's really. I hate to say it. It's so true, though.
But
you have to find that we sit there and counter each other's, weak spots, and that's what you need. You need that other person to help do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, everybody just like stop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Somebody read this?
Yeah, Aaron can read it. Go get
my
your
glasses.
I could break this Marvel DC addiction.
Go ahead.
Maybe I could chase the million indies, but okay, I can't. There's not enough punctuation. I'm sorry.
But as I kind of have to pick and choose favorites, I backed Belial and Cthulhu Invades Oz, but I'm still learning about most of the rest of you. Trisha suggested checking out Voodoo Nation because of Travis's coffee chats.
That's just straight up networking.
Well, and that's how you build an audience. That's and that's passing an audience too, right? Chuck and I are friends, and we support each other. So I'll support his projects, and he normally supports mine. I support the Catalyst book. Every time there's a Catalyst campaign on, I'm gonna jump on their lives. I'm gonna help them, and I'm gonna hopefully bring my audience over. In fact, during the end of their campaign, we jumped on my live instead of their live because they've been hitting their live for a long time. So we jumped onto mine to help get my audience to resonate with them. It's part of the strategy of building these things up. If I could start over, I'd really encourage people to stay in your lane. Stay whatever you want to do. Stay there for a little bit before you move on. Because getting known as
I'm gonna bat against that. But
you'd be wrong, but continue.
That's been proven wrong so far, considering our horror book's done better than the superhero book did. I don't encourage people to stay in one lane because, like we just said earlier, you want that group of people that's going to support you for who you are as well. And I mean, you even see that across some of the other things you do with Cthulhu Invades Oz and Voodoo Nations, and it's more about building that core base. There is a different audience we've noticed between Welcome to Everville and people that back Tilt. But there's still that super backer group that's always there. And growing that, I think, is the more important part, rather than just, staying in your own lane, which for some people, they probably should. For us, I think we maybe pump out a little bit quicker than a few other people that are trying to build audiences. So I don't know. There's a lot of variables to that.
But here's where I differ. It's if you could be known for a crime guy. Let's use crime as an example. Then you can write other stuff eventually, but you should be known for something first, not for the guy who just puts out random stuff. Like, be known for something before you switch to something else. It's kind of more my and finish.
I see that.
And finish. Finish something.
So here's the thing. Me and Aaron are not trying. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
No. So me and Aaron.
So we just went viral.
No. So look. Here's the thing.
That's for my OnlyFans.
This is where me and Aaron keep having these conversations, right? Because people are thinking that we're trying to be something different. I'm guessing, as opposed to like we're not trying to get known for our own separate. We're trying to get known as a company. I think that's our different take on it.
It is a very different thing too.
It's not so much like I want to be known for Everville. I want to be known for Catalyst Comics Studio. Right.
Sure.
That's the only difference. I think that's why we're on a different page as opposed to being a single. If I was a single creator, yes, I get what you're saying, and I would want to stay on a book for 5-6 issues, make myself known, cement myself into it, and then say, okay, let me keep doing. People are liking how I draw horror books or liking how I draw this. Let me stay in that for a little while longer, maybe do another 6 books, and then jump into a different genre.
Right.
But as opposed to like what me and Aaron are doing, it's just completely like we're just putting books out there and seeing what people like. And those other creators are getting to cement themselves in there and see how people take to them making those books.
See, I think my biggest thing is that most advice is very unilateral to who it works for. Like some people this works, some people this works, and it's good to know the various advice, try them out and see which one works for you. Like there's stuff that works incredibly well for me that wouldn't work for most people. And there's stuff that works incredibly well for a lot of other people that doesn't work well for me. And it's like, that's like one of my favorite books, little 54-page book, Managing Oneself. And it's all about learning the fact that we all learn differently. And like some people read books, some people listen to audiobooks, some people need an online course. It's the same with whatever it is if you're doing art. Maybe you do need to taste 20 different things at the same time, or maybe you need to hyper focus on one thing. You just got to figure out how you work and then jump whatever.
Yeah, it's like having teachers. Different teachers can like especially with art. It's the same way for me. I know we're talking about something completely different, but it's one of those things where with certain teachers, and you're seeing them as an artist. Sometimes it just doesn't click with that teacher and how they say it. And it'll take somebody saying the exact same thing in a different way that clicks. And it's the same thing kind of with information of, like Travis's advice, like somebody else might say it and I'll be like, yeah, that was right. And Travis is like, I just said that. And then he's going to get mad and then we're going to fight again.
I think you guys kind of boiling it down to, to essentially kind of like knowing yourself. Whether you're, you sit there for 6 issues working on one thing, or you're doing one issue of 20 different things. Like, I think the biggest goal is just to get to know who you are and get to know like the books you put out and really communicate that to the people you share it with. And
grow a beard.
Honestly, I was noticing everyone here. I'm sorry, Kat, you just.
I'll work on it. I'll see what I can do.
And Greg, I'm leaving you out on purpose because we had that discussion last night. But yeah, no, it's like just getting comfortable with yourself.
Night?
Well, okay, that was after hours. Chuck. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, just getting to know yourself, I think, is a big thing because they
weren't rubbing beards, Chuck.
I mean, that's a very valid point.
That Flint water, Michigan tastes good, doesn't it?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm gonna go fill up right now.
So I want to jump back
brown,
to World.
Drink it down. If it's black, send it back.
Jeez.
So Travis, what has been your biggest thing for helping you build the audience? What is the one thing that you've done? Is there one thing, or is it a culmination of everything that you've done so far?
No, it's a few separate things. It's being strategic and knowing who to partner with and when to partner with. Every time, much like Chuck said, every time I do a new campaign, I make sure that I have a new variant cover from a new artist who I know is going to share it out, who's going to help build that audience, who's going to get that some new eyes on it. Mm-hmm. Every time I, partner with somebody, I make sure that I'm helping them grow and they help me grow. Like it's partnership. For instance, look at what we did with the Pit, right? Brand new comic. Ryan didn't really have a great social media presence, but because I was part of it, because you did a cover, Matt, it helped him get over some of that hump. And then we're like, well, the Catalyst guys are backing it. Travis is backing it. Clearly I'm missing something if I don't back it. Mm-hmm. No different than what Trish is saying here. You follow Chuck. Chuck referred Travis. Travis is now referring Catalyst. Chuck is referring Catalyst. How do you build?
Travis isn't referring Catalyst. Just Chuck's referring Catalyst.
That's what I said. Yes.
Yes, that is what you said.
You're doing Barb's Tales. I thought Rob Anderson was doing that. I'm very concerned about these Barb Tales.
Barb's Tale. What is that? I'm sorry, I don't get the reference.
It was really for Chuck, and then he covered his mouth so I can't see him laugh. So it ruined
He's smiling.
I also refer to Catalyst. They will put blood on your book for hours. It may smear, but it does not matter because it's cool as shit.
Yeah, it feels pretty cool too.
Yep. But the other thing that's growing your growth is making sure you have an email list that you're interacting with on a regular basis. I know people say that, and you're like, I don't need any emails. But if every time I went to my email list, I sold them something, they would unsubscribe. So I don't. What I do is I have them part of the process. Show them what I'm working on, building on that. And then when it's time to sell, I try to sell. I build that continuing on and can continue to build that relationship with them.
Plus, like, email has been around forever, and like a social media platform could just go away one day. Like Instagram shut down for like a few hours, like in the summer, summer, like last year, and like people were losing their minds.
The bigger thing is when you've trained, so everybody else, but not you, has trained someone, if they get an email and there's something to buy it. Your email has taught you, a bill has come, I have to pay this bill. So when you post a Kickstarter, they're already minds wired. When they get that email, they're more likely to back from your email than from that Facebook share. It's not that Facebook shares don't work. It's just more likely to work from an email.
Yeah, that's like the general marketing rule is that, the mailing list is like the most valuable thing of a company. Like even when Instagram sold to Facebook, Facebook could have easily recreated Instagram. And that's very evident in the fact that Instagram has recreated all the stuff from TikTok, all the stuff from Snapchat. They could have easily made the software. It was the email list that Instagram had acquired, like the user base, that made it valuable. That's actually what made the company worth anything, right? So if you're offering something like that, like if you're in the artist world, basically it's your artistry and your mailing list. It's your fandom. And so like that's super important to build that up. And like Greg was saying, you want to be on all these platforms because what's his face? Gary Vaynerchuk says use the 80-20 principle. Yeah, he says use the 80-20.
Just go ahead and mute him.
How many times are they going to mention his name?
I'm sorry. Did Gary V say something that everybody else always says? He just said it a little bit louder so people finally listen to it and throws in some cuss words to make them edgy.
No, this is actually something I've never heard somebody else mention. He talks about using the 80-20 principle for social media platforms in the method of going, okay, test all the platforms, whichever one you seem to be working well with and you seem to be getting responsive with. Spend 80% of your time on that one or maybe two platforms, but always spend at least 20% of your time on all of the other platforms, even the ones that don't seem like they're in your realm, because you don't know if those might be the next big thing and if your big thing might crash, right? If Instagram goes down, what happens? How do you get a hold of your fans, right? Like
Twitter.
Just shift over.
Oh, Twitter.
But nobody pays for my fan only, even though I keep uploading pictures.
You're doing it for yourself. It's empowerment.